Hey, welcome back to the show. This is Sean Burke. I appreciate you joining me again. I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. This is broadcast first on WSMN 1590 AM and 95.3 FM out of Nashua, New Hampshire, northern Boston, southern New Hampshire. Goes out on the podcast world to iTunes and Spotify, so you can pick it up there. It's also for those listening on the radio. This is being recorded and will be on YouTube if you'd like to see what the heck I look like and who I am. So you can go to seanburke.net and get this show there, and you can subscribe there. It'll drop right into your email box after it's aired. So today is a little different. I'm not going to have an interview. It's been a while since I've just given you my thoughts. I think it's high time we do that again. It's been interesting for me. I think what I'm going to do today is just basically tell you what I see as far as what's going on. Won't necessarily tell you all the sources I have. I've read a lot. I've interviewed people and just kind of where I'm at. And hopefully I don't get too overriled on this. I can tend to get a little excited. And I'm trying to keep myself under control because a little bit like for me, the situation going on in the United States of America, a lot going on around the world, but right now I'm concentrated on our country. It's a little bit like I'm going to try and remain calm. You know, you see people walking around just kind of just doing their thing, doing life. And it's kind of weird to me. Because I see it as, it's kind of like you're walking down the street and there's this house on fire. It's actually a good friend of yours house, really important person to you and also to the community. The house is on fire and you just see people kind of walking on by going, wow, look at, there's a fire right there. Maybe a couple of people are throwing a couple buckets of water on it or something, but everybody's remaining calm. What the heck? I don't understand a lot of things of what's going on here with this pandemic. But I'll tell you, back in 2016, I had written a book prior to that and went around the country promoting it, talking about the national debt. Now, talking about something that no one wants to talk about. How about that? 3 talks in 1 sentence. Wow. I went around the country and got on media and was trying to talk about books called How to Press America's Reset Button. Find it on Amazon if you like. Boy, not a lot of people wanting to talk about the debt of the United States of America. Not a lot of people want to talk about that. And to me, in the same situation then, I felt like the house is on fire and everybody's just, who cares? I felt like we all should have been out protesting going, because I really think that if you've ever followed me, you know what I think. I really think that in the end, whenever the end is, I think in the end, we go down as a country financially, not militarily. So, because cultures don't last. Hey, let's just all sit back and remember there's this thing called ancient Egypt. Remember ancient Egypt? Well, they're not powerful anymore, are they? How about the Greek civilization, the Romans? The Romans are no longer around. How about the British Empire? That's a little bit newer. They're not around anymore either. So I'm not sure why we think we're going to be here forever. We've got to keep remembering what old Ben Franklin said as he walked out of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia in 1787, when someone asked him what kind of a government do we have, because they were trying to figure out what the heck this place was going to be run by. And he said, you have a republic, madam, if you can keep it. And that's the trick here. There's a lot of different people trying to decide how the best way is to keep this republic. And we all have different ideas. We all have different thoughts. I have mine. You have yours. But right now, folks, I don't care which view you got. This thing is not looking right. Now, as far as the pandemic goes, let's just talk about that, and I'll try to remain calm because I think the house is on fire, and I think we all should just be running around like our hair's on fire. But anyway, all right, I'll remain calm. This is what I see, and what I try to do is I try to look at it from the perspective of, first of all, the whole show is not about the pandemic. I'll just tell you that. My wife told me that I couldn't do that. I've been talking too much about the pandemic, and I got to get onto some other stories and not depress people so darn much. So hopefully we'll get to that today. I appreciate her giving me the feedback. So Here's my take on the pandemic, and I try to look at it this way. Who benefits? Who's benefiting from whatever the heck's going on? Really learn, look at my old gray hair here. I've learned over the years who benefits from certain things going on. If things are going great, who benefits? If things are going bad, who benefits? Because I'll tell you, everyone benefits. And believe it or not, as much as the virus is a they say, is it alive? I mean, it can't live without attaching itself to a host. So is it alive? I guess it's alive. Not like a bacteria, but a virus is different. So, yeah, okay. So we got this virus and we got this thing, but we got human beings out there making decisions to do this or that. It isn't just willy-nilly running down the river with the current. Humans are deciding to do certain things, causing lockdowns, causing this and that. So we have to understand that ultimately a couple things. Number one, humans are in charge of this endeavor. I'm not saying that a human caused this virus and put it out. I don't think that's been determined yet. I know a lot of people think this was man-made, and I'm not so sure it wasn't man-made. This bug is different enough that it seems like it could be man-made, but I am absolutely no expert. I will tell you that, and please understand that. So I'm just saying it could be man-made, maybe not. Probably not. Come from a bat, though? I don't know. It all seems a little strange to me. I don't know about you. So, number one, what my point is the response to the pandemic is being run by humans. So just know that, not by robots, not by other viruses. It's run by humans. And the other thing is we have a government, but just understand this. It's hard to imagine sometimes, but the government is actually ours. We gave the right through the Constitution to form a government. We gave that right so that we could have people put into place certain rules, laws, systems, so that this entity, this organization that we call government, can handle certain things that you and I don't want to handle because I'm over here doing my job and you're doing your job and we all want to go to the beach one day. The government's job is to handle services to us. I mean, that they actually serve us. They are a facility that serves us, right? And by the way, we pay for them. We fund them through our taxes and etc. So we pay for the government and we authorize the government, and it works for us. Truly, and I'm not just saying this as an analogy, it actually is truly what it is. Go look over at the Constitution one day, again, if you haven't done it in a while, or if you've never done it, just read it. Read some parts of it. Read the preamble, read the beginning, read whatever you want. But in order to form a more perfect union, we had all these states together, countries at the time that were just doing their independent thing. So we went ahead and we decided what we're going to do is we're going to put a constitution together to bring us all together a little bit better. So the government works for us, and we fund it. Now, let's just get that down where we're at. Now, if there's ever a time, I'm a believer in not a big government. I don't think we should have big government. In fact, I was telling my wife the other day, I think that we should have the national government get the heck out of schools. Get out of the education business. Let the states handle that. Now, all right, you can oversee it if you want so that some state isn't going nuts with some crazy curriculum, I suppose, to make sure it fits within the framework of civil rights and our Constitution. So that's fine, but get the heck out of putting on national mandates for certain ways that we should be teaching our kids, and give it back to the states. Now, that was the original intent of this country, is we had states that would be able to develop how it works for their citizens in their local area. So we've kind of lost that, but anyway, all right. So my point is, I'm not a big government fan. I'm not like, let's load up the government, let's dump out a bunch of money, let's have a bunch of debt, let's just have all these services. I really believe that people need to try and make their way in the world themselves as best they can, and ideally with as much opportunities that we can get, as much opportunity that people can actually have to make their way, and good jobs, and developing businesses, getting education, 100%. So, all right, just these are all my preambles to my talk today that I'm going to try not to get too upset about. So, so we have the government, and so I'm not big on all that. I think that the government should stay out of stuff. However, in times of war, I think that the government should be all over it. During World War II is one I'm most familiar with. During World War II, all over it. My dad was a navigator on B-17s in World War II, so I'm more familiar with that. That's all. That's the only reason. But having researched it and studied it, and it's the Great War, they call it, if war can be great. Man, the U.S. government was all over it. We had factories pumping out planes. We had all boats, ships. We had all sorts of stuff. Okay. So if ever the government's job was to step in, is in a war. And I have no idea what I would call this situation other than we're in a war. We're in a war with a biological entity. First of all, there's a lot of other wars going on, but we'll start with the biological entity that is seeming to be pretty amazing at replicating itself and getting around and messing with people. So if there's ever a time that the U.S. government should step in and go do its thing and really centralize the response, I feel strongly that it is in this case. And I'm here to say that this is a very non-political, politically neutral show. But I'm here to tell you, and it's going to remain that way, but I'm going to tell you that I feel like the government has failed miserably in this case. Complete failure to really step up to the plate and make this sucker happen. Now, buck stops probably at Donald Trump. I really believe that the Trump administration has done a very, very poor job of organizing this and getting the supplies that are needed, and really looking at this like, how do we get this is what you have to do. You have to look at what is the actual ideal that we want. If I'm the president of the United States, what's the ideal? I'm looking to see how we can get our country out of this divot, this disaster, fast, with the least amount of deaths, weighed against the least amount of economic loss. So we have to weigh it out. So that would be your ideals. Fast, what we have to do, and you need to look 3 to 4 years down the road. We're not going to have this thing with us forever, but we need to get through this quicker and get things going. So I believe that the Trump administration has done a horrible job, but he's not alone. I live in California. Gavin Newsom, first of all, I got to say, I like the fact that Trump decided he was going to let the states do their job, because I do believe that that is the foundation of our country, is letting the states run aspects of our lives. I do appreciate that. However, let's go back to the point that we're in war. I'm not sure if he realized, hey, we're actually at war. We need to centralize this from the top down. So that's just my thought on that. But let's go to Gavin Newsom. Governor Gavin Newsom in California has done a darn good job at all to me. I'm not sure I know of one government official that affects me, because I know there's those, I just so you know, and I think you've heard before from me, I'm from South Dakota, and the governor, Christine Noem, I think is her name, has really had a very laid-back approach. And it's difficult to judge all that because you're in the middle of nowhere. I've been there. I love it there. It's one of my favorite places. Gorgeous. If you ever going there? Anyway, it's beautiful, but there's a lot of space, and I think space is pretty key to this bug. So it's hard to say what government official has really done the best, but I will say probably hands down, none of them have done the great things, and that's their job. This is the difficulty about this. You're put in a crap situation. And this is where you actually get I don't even know if tested is the right word. You just got to do your job. You know, you've probably been in jobs. I've been in jobs where things came along that you absolutely did not anticipate. You didn't think they were going to come along. It wasn't part of the plan, wasn't part of your job description, maybe. But you're all of a sudden in charge, and it is now time to act. It is now time to jump and do. And I have not seen it. You know, just simply, again, if I were president, I don't know, do you do this? I do this. I go, well, let's see, if I was president, what would I do? Well, I certainly would be having a good amount of communication coming out of the White House or my committee or whoever I designate, that there is going to be very factual, and not only factual coming out of our mouths, but backed up by empirical data, that this is, and actually camera showing and video showing and inviting the press to see factual data on what is going on, what we're doing, what the actions are being taken. Constant factual information. Because what we have today is the media has just gone bloody insane. This is the Super Bowl for the media. They couldn't think of a better opportunity to be themselves and to fight and swing and grapple for our eyes. Because if ever you've ever had the urge that I better check and see what's going on out there, is now. And that's what exactly that they try to foment. Now, in very peaceful times, things aren't going so bad. What do? Well, they want you still to click and look. So they just keep fomenting as much chaos as they can at least make up that it's chaotic. They'll find something out there that even if it's one person in the whole country that their head blew up, the head just exploded, they're going to make sure you know about it in every newspaper it ever happened. And maybe that explosion happened because the guy ate 2,500 firecrackers and his head blew. I don't know. But they're not going to tell you that to the last line. Oh, my gosh, we got a new disease in the country. Everybody's head's exploding. That's what they do in peaceful times. Well, they don't need to do that now. Are you kidding me? We got such insanity out there that all they got to do is just wake up, roll over, and go, oh, my gosh, we still got crap going on. I'm going to tell everyone about it. Yeah, you know, there was it's so prevalent. I mean, please tell me you're seeing this now. Is it not more obvious now what the role of the media is? Their job, in order to, again, who benefits? That's what we're going back to. Who benefits from the chaos that we're involved in right now? Well, absolutely media does. They are so excited that you're turning to them and watching, and every move you make has to somehow go to the media and the newspaper or the TV or whatever it is. So they are absolutely winning. Now, there was just, for example, up in Seattle, I just saw an article. I also reside up in Seattle sometimes. There was an article that said that the cases were dropping. But the headline had to say cases drop, yet spikes in certain areas. You can't let anything go. We can't let it go down to something better. If you've ever get so disturbed by what's going on with all this, my suggestion to you is stop watching, stop reading any media, any newspapers, any news. Stop. I dare you. This is a double dare, actually. 2 weeks. Try to not read the newspaper or watch TV news for 2 weeks and watch yourself go into likely withdrawals. You're going to likely have withdrawals. I hate to tell you that, but that is what's going to happen. It is not easy to do. You're addicted to this stuff. And the funny part of it is when you stop listening, the world stops seeming so darn bad. It doesn't, well, you know what? It's not so bad around here anymore. I don't feel so upset. I'm not so depressed. Didn't get so many headaches this last couple of weeks. Didn't need so many shots of bourbon or tequila. Yeah, That's what the media does. It feels, imagine now, you got a swimming pool out there and you got that, this is your head. We're going to do an analogy here. You got your head and it's like a swimming pool. You pour a bunch of water in there and whatnot, it's fine. But you pour a bunch of dirt in there, like the bad news, and it murks it up. You look in there in the pool and you go, whoa, that's kind of murky. And then you put a bunch of, let's put some gasoline in there. Oh, now it's really bad stuff. Well, let's put a couple of, what else should we put in there? A couple of dead coyotes. How about that? We'll put a couple of dead coyotes in the pool and see how that goes. Now, this is my analogy for the kind of stuff that is going in your head. You're listening to that media, and it's filling your head with, oh, it's bad out there. It's dangerous out there. Don't go out there. Look out. Check with us before you do anything. You shouldn't do anything. The most important thing you should do is stay home and stay still. Just so we know, physically and medically, it's the worst thing you could do is sit at home and stay still. You should be out moving your body and getting sunlight and fresh air. Okay, so all right, so that's kind of my rant on that. So who else benefits from this deal? Well, certainly the drug companies, especially those doing the vaccines. We're up to over $8 billion now given from the U.S. government to those vaccine companies, multiple of them, to let's actually get let's get some vaccine going right now. Too many experts I keep reading talk about vaccines take years to develop, folks. We are counting on this vaccine way, way too much. Right? Have you read that? Come on. We're thinking we're going to have a vaccine by the end of this year, a vaccine that works, a vaccine that doesn't hurt people. Yeah, I'm not a real fan of vaccines anyway, but this is like, really, come on, give me a break. But $8 billion. Now, let's just imagine here for a second that if we come up with a solution to all this, what happens to that vaccine? Let's say we come up with a way that, yeah, you might get sick. And if you do get sick and you have to go to the hospital, that they can take care of it. And the likelihood of dying is pretty much very low to nil, unless you have all these other conditions, when that's going to be a problem anyway, because you're kind of short on life anyway. But so we're going to handle it so you probably won't die. Now what happens to the vaccine? If we have a situation like that, where, you know what, we got to kind of have this we got this handled a bit. Well, you don't really need a vaccine. There's flu vaccine now for adults, and not very many people get it, really. I think, I don't know what percentage of the population gets it. I never get it. I never get the flu. So, all right. So you got that situation, the vaccine. Now, if we keep the pressure on people, if we keep people who benefits? First of all, the media, they love you coming back because you're scared. You need this information. The vaccine companies, oh my gosh, they need you to be chomping for that darn vaccine, just chomping at the bit. Like there's actually an article I read within the last 3 weeks or so that said, let's see, I'm getting a little fired up here. I should calm down a little bit. Oh my gosh, there was an article that said that they're thinking about doing a lottery to see who gets to get the vaccine first, or in the front of the line, wait a second. You mean it's so needed, people are dying for it that much that we got to do a lottery for it? Like we're going to do a lottery for, what are lotteries done for that you might get to go? I know I was in the Boy Scouts, and you do a lottery to go to Philmont. If anybody out there is familiar with Philmont, one of the high adventure, really awesome place in New Mexico, you go hiking. It's really incredible. But there's so many scout troops all over the country that want to go to do that you got to enter a lottery, because so many people want to do it. It's so awesome. Is this the same thing? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get that doggone vaccine, so I need a lottery. Billy, Mabel, I got myself the top of the line. I'm one of the first 1,000 to get this doggone vaccine. Is that something you're going to celebrate? Not me. So hang on. If we solve this thing before the vaccine comes out, who loses? Vaccine companies lose, right? So there is an incentive from the vaccine companies anyway to keep the pressure on, because really, and I think there's government officials in different places that really want this. I think there is a movement, by the way. I looked it up one time. Project 21st Century. If anybody out there listening knows, email me. There's a name for this, that there is a whole slew of adult vaccines that they're ready to roll out. They want adults getting vaccines. I don't know why. I don't ever get sick. So I don't know why I need adult vaccine. But anyway, that's a whole movement that's moving down the road. And so there's government officials, there is the media who wants you all freaked out, and there's the vaccine companies that want you freaked out, so that when that vaccine comes out, you will sign up for that lottery and line up around the block or around the state, country, to get your doggone vaccine. Okay, so that is someone who benefits from this. Now, I'm just saying this because if we figured out a way, the trick is we have a way. If you have not listened yet to the last, it wasn't exactly the last 3. I've done 3 shows over the last month or so with some of the most prominent doctors in the critical care, intensive care industry, that profession, that segment of the medical world that takes care of very ill patients. I've interviewed some of the top people in this industry, in that segment. They've come up with a protocol that works based on stuff that's been being used for decades that they're very familiar with, a couple of vitamins even. And the doggone stuff reduces death that I've been able to determine about 75%. It's gone to the White House 5 times. It's called the Math Plus Protocol. You can go to Schomburg.net and you can see the shows. You go to my YouTube page, Schomburg Show. It's on there. You just Google Math Plus. There's tons of shows out there. There's other doctors that have done interviews with these guys. I'm not the only one. I didn't discover them. I'm just another one on the bandwagon. I'm like, hey, wait a second. Hold on. Just for one odd doggone moment here. You're telling me that you guys have a protocol that helps people live when they go to the hospital instead of die when they go to the hospital with COVID-19? Well, that seems important to me. I don't know about you. So I have done my interviews with them. I have worked very hard to spread that information. I have sent it to government officials. I have sent it to hospitals, and I have gotten some traction. There is a major hospital that I am aware of that is looking at it, but it not enough. So here's the deal, and it's not being picked up in the medical industry. Again, went to the White House with nothing. One of the doctors testified in front of the Senate about this protocol. Nothing. You know, you gotta kind of go, well, okay. We have a protocol that is safe. We have a protocol that's been each drug's been used for decades. It's being used at the Norfolk General Hospital for months with incredible success. It's been used at Houston Medical Try to talk like this sometimes. Just keep going, rattling all this stuff off. It's been used at Houston Memorial Medical Center for months with incredible results. And other hospitals. So what? Okay, then you just got to back up and you got to go, there's something fishy going on here, isn't there? National government isn't treating this like it's a war. Media, every day I get up, it's the worst news ever and some other terrible thing about it. And every day they publish how many stupid cases, not stupid, but I mean, come on, every day, 724 cases today, 703. I mean, why? It means nothing. These are just numbers they throw out there. And we have a protocol. And the other thing that's been determined, I think, through trials is vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc. Pretty well known in the industry, even medical industry, hate to tell you this, Even medical industry is pretty well known to help prevent viral situations. So why doesn't the national government say, hey, you know what? It'd be really good if you guys get out and get some sun and also take some vitamin D and some C and some zinc. And by the way, everybody get in shape. Drop off this extra weight and let's get rid of these extra pounds you have in different conditions you have. Because the healthier you are, it's being shown that it is less likely for you to have problems, okay? So why isn't that being done? Why isn't this protocol that these doctors, some of the best in the world, these aren't schleps, these are some of the most respected doctors in the world, why aren't we using that protocol everywhere? Why don't we use it? This is what I think what would happen. And also what has occurred is that the media has scared the people so much that they don't want to go into a hospital when they are sick. It's so frightening. Imagine, I don't know, maybe you've been sick. You get sick and you're starting to feel bad. I don't want to go in the hospital. I'll probably die because most people who go in the hospital die. So what's happening, these doctors have told me, is people come in way too late. And it's too late to help them, a lot of them. So what the heck? Why isn't there a communication that says, look, if you get the virus, please shelter in place, keep away from people. That's number one. 2, get yourself one of these little pulse oximeters for your finger. And if your oxygen levels drop below 90, go into your local hospital. That's number 2. Don't wait. Number 3, when you get into, back on number 1, take vitamin D, C, and zinc, get healthy. Okay. Now, if you're going into the hospital, that hospital, they'll start treating you right away with this concoction of this protocol that is going to make sure that you don't have this cytokine storm, this inflammation that takes over your lungs. So they're going to monitor it and make sure that doesn't happen. And you're going to walk out and you're going to be all right. Why doesn't that happen? Because if it did happen and we came down to the fact that we have very few deaths, then what happens? If we have very few deaths, do you think that people are going to be signing up for the lottery for the vaccine? I don't think so. So, who benefits from the chaos that's going on is our talk for the moment. Number 1, the vaccine companies. Number 2, the media. And number 3, I think some segments of the medical scientific community that might even be at some level of the government who thinks that we as adults really need adult vaccines, and we're going to start with this COVID vaccine. And just as another point on the vaccine, I've said it before, I highly suspect that eventually you're going to need to show you've had the vaccine in order to get on an airplane, maybe even to go to Disneyland. I know it sounds, okay, maybe not in the U.S. You're sitting there going, oh, they'd never do that in the U.S. Well, how about in other countries? What if you want to fly to Europe? You got to show you had the vaccine. How about that? You want to do a cruise? Got to show you had the vaccine. How about that? I'm just saying, it sounds like impossible to me, but it's kind of sounded impossible that they'd ever shut the frickin' country down 6 months ago. I thought that was impossible too. Okay, so this is Sean Burke. You know that. This is Sean Burke Show. You can get this show and others at seanburke.net. This is out on the podcast. We're on WSM 1590 AM and 95.3 FM. And you can get it at Spotify and iTunes and a whole bunch of places. Okay, and if you want to write me, by the way, hey, Sean at seanburke.net. All right, so that's who benefits there. There's one other place I want to talk about who benefits. I hate to say this. Last night, I think last night was the Democratic convention. The Democrats got together for their convention. And at this convention, Michelle Obama spoke. First of all, I just got to say that obviously the Democrats don't want to beat Donald Trump. And I'll tell you why I say that. It's because if they really, really wanted to beat Donald Trump, they would have made Michelle Obama the VP candidate. I just got to tell you, the fact that Biden would have Michelle Obama backing him up would bring Democrats to the voting booth like crazy. I think Barack did not want his wife in there, and I don't know if she wanted it, but I just have always thought if they were going to form the team, since Biden was going to be the presidential nominee, Michelle Obama, imagine that, a Biden-Obama ticket where before it was Obama-Biden. Come on, you would have every Democrat on earth in the United States going out to vote. And that's what you need at voting time is people coming out. So we'll see with Kamala being the vice president nominee. So anyway, Michelle Obama, I digress. Again, I'm trying to look at who benefits. And I've said this before. And again, this is a nonpartisan viewpoint, guys. I don't care which side you like or you hate. If you're Democrats, you want chaos to reign until Election Day. If you're Republicans, you want calm to come back and you want the country to prosper. Now, it's going to sound pretty harsh. You're going to say, wait a second, if you're a Democrat listening to me, you're like, no way, we want it to go. Now, come on. If the roles were reversed, the Republicans would want chaos and the Democrats would want calm. Because really, this is becoming a referendum on the presidency. And in all cases, almost in history, that when the country is doing well economically, the incumbent president wins. So President Trump was well on his way to winning a second term simply based on the economy was doing really great back in January and February. And now it's in the dumps. And he's doing everything he can to bring it back. And the Democrats, you tell me, but I got to say that I don't see how they're not helping foment chaos as a referendum on Donald Trump. And I won't even say that the protests were part of it. I don't know, but certainly wouldn't that play into that? So anyway, again, I'm trying to be as non-political as possible, but it is what it is. We have an election in 3 months. One side would like to keep the chaos going. The other side would like to see it go away. It just is a natural game. If you just want to take it as a football game, it's a natural game that's being played. Now, last night, Michelle Obama said the following, and this is where I think of, hey, who benefits from this? So she says here, quote, "If you take one thing from my words tonight, it is this. If you think things cannot possibly get worse, trust me. They can. And they will if we don't make a change in this election. If we have any hope of ending this chaos, we have got to vote for Joe Biden like our lives depend on it." End quote. This last statement, if we have any hope of ending this chaos, we have got to vote for Joe Biden like our lives depend on it. And that piece, that one sentence, was all over the press, the more liberal press, last night after she made that statement. I'll give it to you again. If we have any hope of ending this chaos, notice the word, we have got to vote for Joe Biden like our lives depend on it. Okay, so the Democrats, and again, I'm an observer on this. I read all sorts of newspapers. The Democrats have been pushing this line for some time. They have been pushing the line ever really since Donald Trump kind of got elected, was the chaos. That there is chaos in the White House, that Donald Trump is causing chaos. Now, maybe he is. You're probably sitting there going, he does. I don't know. That's your call. But it is fascinating to me that we have a statement coming from the former First Lady, talking about ending the chaos. If there was no chaos going on right now, would there be anything to end? Does anybody see where I'm going? If you don't have chaos, you can't make that statement. If you don't have chaos, you can't walk around the country in the political manner and say, if you want to end this chaos, you've got to vote for Joe Biden like your lives depended on it. So, I'm just saying, isn't there a little bit of someone's benefiting from the chaos? Don't you think? really seems obvious to me. Is Michelle out there causing the chaos? I don't know, but is there chaos going on in our country? There is. And it's really easy politically to stand back, and this is what they do all the time anyway. Oh my gosh, the other side is causing the end of existence. And in this case, it looks like we might almost come to the end of existence with the fact that, here we have a Democrat governor in California has the state. I don't know about you guys. I don't know where you're listening from, but the state of California is shut down pretty much. Notice my hair. I got my hair cut when the doggone they allowed my hair guy to open up. He's closed. He's been closed. You can't do massages. You can't do hair. You can't eat indoors. Any of that stuff. They did let us go to the beach. You can go to the beach, but we're still pretty locked down in California. So here we got this Democratic governor who's like, no, you're all locked down. So chaos. Who benefits from chaos? Sure doesn't me who benefits from chaos. I'll tell you right now, I think we have the solutions right now with vitamins in the beginning based on science, based on trial tested stuff. Take vitamins. And if you're listening, this is the real deal. Go to my shows. Go listen to Dr. Merrick. Go listen to Dr. Verone. Go listen to Dr. Corey that I interviewed. On YouTube, watch the videos. I've got graphs and the whole thing, or just go listen to the podcast. But listen, this is real, and this is a good point to go. Hey, I got motivation to get my health together. Take vitamin C, take vitamin D3, and if you do, take it with K2, D3, K2. There's you can find that out there. That combination. K is needed with D. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I've just done it for myself because I had to repair my health some years ago, and take a lot of vitamin C. And you can take quite a bit of that stuff based on what I understand. So do that. If we did that, and then if you do get in trouble, get one of those pulse oximeters, put it on the end. You get $35 from Amazon. Put it on the end of your finger if you're not feeling well. Goes down below 90. Get yourself into the hospital. Print out the Math Plus protocol for use in the hospitals. Print it out and take it out and give it to them. I don't know. Maybe they'll use it. Unfortunately, we don't have all the hospitals in the country using it. That's what I'd do. I'd go to where Dr. Merrick is what I would do, but that's all the way across country in Virginia. So I don't know. If I get sick in this area, I'd want to go to a doctor that's using that stuff because I think my chances of coming out of the hospital are very high. They're not putting people on respirators. You go on a respirator with this thing, it's bad, people. Okay, so you do those things, and I think we're out of here. If we don't have the problem of people dying anymore, then why not? Let's just go back to normal. I will tell you this. Good news is business is picking back up. My business, I'm in the trade show event industry. We're custom fabricators. So our business is picking back up to some degree. Small, not where it used to be, but things are starting to move. Retailers, amusement park, things like that. Things are starting to move a bit. So, and in the end, we're going to get through this. In the end, we're not going to have this problem. It will... We're going to get back to normal at some point, but things are going to be a little different. Our economy is shifting, but okay. Is that enough on COVID? Did I give you too much? I hope that helps. I just wanted to give you my point of view. It's just my point of view. No one else's. You listen to me or not. It's your call. Do I think that this is a 5G thing? I don't think it's 5G. I don't know if you've heard that one. I don't see how it's 5G. If 5G is spread all over the world, you'd have to do a test. I don't know. I don't have all the answers of where it's coming from, but I just know that the government, to me, has failed completely. We need tests. We need ubiquitous tests that you can just test someone. They can go into an event. You test someone, they can get on the plane. You can test someone, they can go in the train, and then you can test them again. Simple stuff. In fact, I just read an article out of the Atlantic that talks about these little strips, kind of like pregnancy tests, simple in-home strips. You spit on it. About 15 minutes, it tells you whether or not with pretty good accuracy, I think 60% accuracy, whether or not you likely have the virus. And if it says you do, then you go get a better test. But something, the way it's going with tests is outrageous. And the government, the White House, I think, has spent something like $200 million on testing. That's what I read today. and we've given $8 billion for vaccines. Why are we thinking that vaccine is going to be the solution to this? I don't know. And here's the other last thing I'll say on this. Just because people say it is so, it doesn't mean it's so. Just because I say it's so doesn't mean it's so. But also just because someone else says it's so, unless we have testing behind it, unless it makes sense and you can see the results right in front of you. But just because there's a lot of commotion in a certain area doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. Even if 1,000 people say something is something, doesn't mean it's true. So I do believe, as tell my wife, I do believe we have the truth on this virus. It's just clouded with so many other pieces of information. It's hard to discern what the actual truth is. All right, enough on coronavirus for now. Well, I did it again. I spent way too much time talking about that. My wife probably not be happy with that. But all right, let's spend about 5 minutes talking about a few other things. Did you see that the United Arab Emirates and Israel have formed a friendly deal? They have formal diplomatic relations starting. That the head of Mossad, which is Israel's CIA, basically, went to the UAE, United Arab Emirates, to talk security with them. Okay, that is a breakthrough that the Israelis, Israel is working closely and having diplomatic relations with an Arab partner in the Middle East. Now, that's cool. From what I can tell, and I'm no expert again, I'm just a guy here talking to you. Definitely has everything to do with Iran. So you find out that your partner, these guys don't like your enemy. You know, your enemy is. We have common enemies. What's that saying? Your enemy is my enemy, so it makes us friends, something like that. So that's very much what the situation is. Anyway, that's happened in the middle of this. Imagine how many stories have actually gone under the radar because of we got to tell how many deaths we have every single day. Okay, so oh my gosh. Anyway, there's one. Now, did you also track with? I just got to say also because I haven't talked much about it. These riot things that have happened and kind of still do around the place. You can definitely count on organization called Antifa to be involved with that. Have you heard of Antifa? This is not a left or a right issue. Antifa is anti-fascism. So sounds in theory like fascism may be far to the right, I guess you would say, in the political spectrum. And they're anti-fascist, so that makes them left. No, these guys are criminals. I ran into them at the convention in 2016. They were out protesting and interviewed one of them and followed them around. These people really, they want no government at all. No one should be in charge, so they can do whatever the heck they want to do. And they use massive amounts of violence. So anyway, check out Antifa, bad group, sitting around waiting for chaos to happen, and then they run out and cause chaos. You know, I'm all for peaceful protests. I am absolutely against looting, of course. And that situation that happened in Chicago a week ago, the mayor of Chicago was like, that's it. This isn't protesting. This is called felonies. So she was all over that. All right, now let's just go to Seattle for a second because I'm a little familiar with Seattle. I keep kind of track of Seattle. Seattle, Amazon's in Seattle. I don't know. Did you notice that the police chief of Seattle quit? Carmen Best is a female. She's Black. She'd been in the department for some 25 years and got promoted a few years ago, and a lot of the community really liked her. And the city council decided, because of this whole defund police movement. Now, I got to tell you, there's aspects of this. I looked into it a little bit because at first it sounds insane. But the other parts of it, I'm like, all right, you want to take away some of the social services that police officers have to go do. I'm all for that. And I guarantee all police officers would be for that. So yeah, let's take away some of the actual things that police have to go out and do that others could handle, that aren't violent, that aren't really in need of police. I don't think that's a problem. I'm not sure even the police think that's a problem. They're like, really? All right, great. Because we have to fill out 14 hours of paperwork for that stuff, and they could be out doing policing. So So anyway, the whole police defunding. So in Seattle, they got to the point where the city council said, well, we're actually going to defund the police. And there is a socialist that is actually, I mean, pure on socialism. She wants to destroy capitalism. She's come out, Sawalt, I think her name is. She's come out and said that we need to destroy capitalism entirely and take the entire system that the country's run on and throw it away. She got elected in Seattle to this city council. And so she decided what she was going to do is we're going to defund the Carmen Best, the police chief's salary by 40%, along with her staff, and cut the budget. And 100 officers have to go today, all this stuff. They never actually consulted the police chief. And the next day she said, thank you very much. I've had my time. I'm retiring. How about that? She retires in the midst of this. She's female, she's Black, and in my opinion, kind of exactly what the movement would want in place. And yet you have people that just think that they know. This city councilwoman just knows the thing to do is cut the rates by 40%, and we're going to cut everything. And, you know, your actions have consequences. So they lost their police chief that they probably shouldn't have. She seemed to be a good police chief, from what I could tell. The city council of Seattle is really kind of goofy. They've also passed, not recently, a few months ago, a law that if you're a big tech company, if you're a big company with employees making lots of money, you're going to have to pay them an extra head tax to fund homelessness and whatnot. Now, I'm not saying the infrastructure of Seattle doesn't need help. It certainly does, because these big companies have come in and built these massive buildings. I get all that. But what you're going to do, especially now with the pandemic, you're going to penalize companies for being in your city when they can go 10 minutes across a bridge to Bellevue, Washington, and not have that head tax. I mean, sometimes I sit there and I go, am I missing something? Yeah. So, okay. Anyway, that's going on. I think I'm already over time. I got to go. Thank you for listening. Email me at heysean or seanburke.net. seanburke.net is where you can find all this. Hope you're well out there. Be well. Let's go to the next week. Let's see what's going on. Tell people about the Math Plus protocol. Watch those interviews I did with those doctors. It's very, very important. All right. Be well out there. Till the next time. Adios. Bye-bye.